What is up, guys? This is going to be another ruling series segment. This is going to be number 2 out of my first one, and it's going to be 10 things that EDISON players should know for rulings, and this is going to be the first one. So the first one, we're going to talk about the ruling with SEGOC. So the old SEGOC rule here, I'll just explain it to you guys for an example. Here we have a pulling the rug set, and then there was a Sangan that was previously set. So the ruling is, if you tribute a Sangan off the board for a Caius, are you able to assign Caius as Chainlink 1 and Chainlink 2? Because in modern format, you can design the Chainlinks to be in that order. Are you able to design it so that Chainlink 1 is Caius and Chainlink 2 is Sangan? And the answer to that is no, you cannot do that. Namely because in the old SEGOC rule, they recognized Sangan as being sent to the graveyard first. So the conditions were met first as a cost before Caius' summon was basically happened. So in this case, you can only make Sangan Chainlink 1 and Caius Chainlink 2, even though they're both mandatory effects and they all kind of trigger at the same time in the modern format. In the old EDISON format, they are recognized as Sangan was sent first, so Sangan must be Chainlink 1 in this example. So in this case, pulling the rug can be activated to stop the Caius because it has to be Chainlink 2, and this is Chainlink 3 to destroy the Caius. So yeah, that's the first one. On to the next one. So here's another one that's interesting. So player B has a Goyo Guardian on his side of the field, and they activate Book of Moon targeting the Battle Fader. So Battle Fader then gets set as a result of Book of Moon. If the monster is flipped face up, does the monster remember how it was summoned? And if so, does Battle Fader, if summoned this way, get banished when it leaves the field? And the answer to that is it does forget if it's flipped face down. The reason being is that well, it's not. There's no reason other than the fact that if a monster is set, it forgets that it was how it was summoned. So in this case, this wording says if it's summoned this way, banish it when it leaves this field. So any sort of properties that it would get from being summoned this way would be forgotten if it was Book of Moon. And in this case, Goyo Guardian can actually steal the Battle Fader, even though it's not sent to the graveyard, because this requires that the monsters be sent to the graveyard. A cool little tip that you can do is if your opponent has a Plaguespreader zombie and it was brought out because it was not synchro summoned with, Book of Moon setting the Plaguespreader zombie would make Plaguespreader zombie forget that it was brought out, because it says that banish it when it leaves the field. So Plaguespreader forgets that it was special summoned from the graveyard, so that when it's flipped face up by Goyo Guardian can actually steal it. This is the same with Quillbolt Hedgehog. It has the same kind of ruling, where it says you can special summon this card, banish it when it leaves the field. So very much the same as these 3 cards. So these are 3 class of cards that forget the way it was brought out from the graveyard if it was set by Book of Moon. Therefore Goyo Guardian can trigger because it says that if it has to destroy the monster by battle and send it to the graveyard. So that's one ruling for you, and /tip ways that you can use. On to the next one. So this one actually came up this weekend. So someone summoned a Judgment Dragon on the board, and the player B decides to activate, or this is Judgment Dragon is Chainlink 1, and player B decides to activate Book of Moon targeting the JD. So the question is, does JD destroy itself when someone activates Book of Moon on a set JD? And the answer to that is no, it does not destroy itself, because if you read here, it says destroy all other cards on the field. So when a monster is Book of Moon to be set face down, it remembers that it is a card, but it doesn't have properties. All it does is says, I remember being a card when it's set. So that being said, because the keyword here says other cards on the field, that means that this card recognizes itself as a card, and so all other cards will be included in its destruction, but not itself. So Book of Moon versus JD, actually JD saves itself in the resolution of Book of Moon. This is a little bit different than, say, a Black Rose Dragon. Black Rose Dragon says destroy all cards on the field, so it doesn't say the word all other cards. So even if you Book of Moon Black Rose, it should be pretty intuitive that Black Rose will destroy itself and Book of Moon. On to the next one. So this is a more popular example with Black Wings. A lot of people know this ruling, but for those of you guys who do not, here I can explain it to you guys. So here we have Blizzard summon, normal summon with Black Whirlwind out, and the opponent has Torrential set. So in here you can design your chain links because of the SEGOC rule. Because they occurred simultaneously, you can actually design one to be chain link 1 and the other one to be chain link 2. So in this case, if you make Whirlwind or Blizzard chain link 1 and Whirlwind chain link 2, Torrential can be activated, because the last thing that happened was Blizzard summoning a Kalute from the graveyard. So here you could actually activate Torrential because the last thing that happened was Kalute being summoned, and so that meets the condition of Torrential being able to activate when Kalute is summoned to the field. However, if the order was different, where you make the Whirlwind chainlink 1, and this is chainlink 2, Blizzard would summon the Kalute as chainlink 2 because chain resolves backwards, and then Black Whirlwind being chainlink 1 would be the last thing that happens, and so Torrential never gets a chance to activate on this one. So that's a way you can dodge Torrential. So here we have a different scenario where Oppression is set instead, and so if you want to dodge an opponent's Oppression and you think that it's set, then what you would do is you would make Blizzard chainlink 1 and Whirlwind chainlink 2. This is a strategy / ruling tip for you guys to dodge either Torrential or Oppression. So it really shows you the caliber of play if you're trying to dodge either one of these cards you suspect. So that's how you do it. On to the next one. So here's a little cool tip / ruling for you guys who are Machina players. So if you have a Dimensional Fissure up, and you have 2 machines that are face up on the field, and opponent activates Summon Cyber Dragon, the ruling question is Cyber Dragon able to contact fuse with 2 machines that are face up while Dimensional Fissure is active? And the answer to that is no, they cannot, because of the way Chimera Tech Fortress is ruled. So here we have Chimera Tech Fortress. It says it must be first special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above cards to either field to the graveyard. Because it is a cost to send the machine monsters to the graveyard as fusion material, since the cost cannot be paid, you cannot bring out Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon under Dimensional Fissure. So for all you Machina gadget players or just pure gadget players, and you're afraid of Cyber Dragon, and because of the Cyber Dragon contact rule, you have a out to be able to save your machine monsters from being contact fused with these Cyber Dragons that is coming out. So if you're afraid to play the deck, Dimensional Fissure is a way to out the Chimera Tech Fortress from coming out. So yeah, that's a little helpful tip, you guys. Hopefully you find it useful. On to the next one. So a popular deck has come up to the meta game nowadays is Machina Fortress. And so the question is, what happens if Black Rose were to activate its effect? Can you activate the effect of Machina Gearframe to save it as a union monster? Because it says that if the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, destroy this card instead. So the modern ruling for this scenario is that you can activate Gearframe to save Machina Fortress from being destroyed, even if it's both these cards are marked for destruction using Black Rose's Dragon's effect. However, in the EDISON format rulings back in the day, if both cards are marked for destruction, you cannot actually use Machina Gearframe's effect to save it. So in this scenario, in EDISON format, both monsters will be destroyed with the effect of Black Rose Dragon. This ruling is also consistent with the 6 Samurai. So 6 Samurais all have the ability to be able to save itself if by destroying a 6 Samurai monster instead. So if you have another 6 Samurai monster right here, and Black Rose Dragon activates effect, you cannot save the 6 Samurai monsters if they're both the cards are marked for destruction. So this would destroy both the 6 Samurai monster along with Shogun with Black Rose Dragon. So here's the reference here, if I can find it. So here's the modern interpretation of the ruling here. This is from DB or YG organization. It says that if both Spirit of the 6 Samurai, which is a union monster, is equipped to 2, would it be destroyed at the same time? And the answer, this is the long question here. Final Destination, Destiny is a proxy for the Black Rose effect. Final Destiny, if you guys don't know what it does, this is an old card that says discard 5 cards in your hand, destroy all cards on the field. So you can use destroy all cards on the field as a proxy for Black Rose Dragon. You can use destroy all cards on the field as a proxy for Black Rose Dragon. And in this case, in the modern era, the 6 Samurai will be able to apply to save the 6 Samurai, even if all cards are marked for destruction in the modern format. However, in the older formats, such as EDISON, here we have a Machina Gearframe ruling here, and it says the continuous effect like is the equip spell card. You could, let's see where it says here, if an effect of Black Rose Dragon would simultaneously destroy Gearframe and the equipped monster, destroy both cards, you cannot apply this effect. And here they show you the reference here, which is like a Pojo post. I'm not sure if this person is like someone who is a notable judge, so I'm always a little bit cautious to take the word of Pojo posters, but it seems that he is kind of correct. Even if you don't believe what he's saying to be true, it is also consistent with the 6 Samurai ruling as well. So yeah, on to the next one. Okay, so this is going to be a really weird one, and this is going to be the interaction between Consecrated Light. And the question is, are you able to tribute summon Consecrated Light for a dark monster? And counterintuitively, from if you play modern format, playing modern format, if you had Consecrated Light out, you would not be able to tribute Consecrated Light for something like Sirocco, for example, because you're attempting to normal summon something that isn't a dark monster. However, in EDISON format, as usual, likes to throw a lot of curveballs because it was owned by Upper Decks Entertainment, and because of that, they ruled that you could actually tribute off a monster that is restricting you from doing something for another one. So in this case, you could actually tribute summon Sirocco here in face-up attack position. I actually had a chance to rule this opposite at a tournament, and I actually screwed him over. So I do apologize that I did give the wrong ruling. But intuitively, if you were to play a modern format, even if you don't play modern format, you're not supposed to be able to just tribute summon away a Consecrated Light for a Sirocco. So yeah, the proof that I have here is the reason why you're able to do this is because of an older card called Last Warrior from Another Planet. So this is a card that came out during GOAT format, where it says if this card is special summon, destroy all the monsters you control. But the key word here is that neither player can summon monsters. So if you look at the ruling for this guy right here, this is the comparative case study. It says that the Last Warrior from Another Planet says this card may be tributed as tribute summon a level 5 or higher monster. So even though the modern format or the modern interpretation of being able to summon monsters is restricted, in the older days you can actually tribute summon the monster that's restricting you from normal summoning for another one. So that's why that's why it works the way that it does. So yeah, I know it's pretty stupid. I personally think it's stupid that you can do that, but yeah, that's the ruling in EDISON, and you just have to follow it because of the previous case studies that we've had on doing this. On to the next one. So this is another one, and then it's actually pretty interesting to know how replay rules work in this game. And so if you're playing by the old replay rules, you're going to have a lot of hit and miss when it comes to understanding what it does. So this is an actual real life situation that actually happened in the Collectibles Exchange PS5 tournament, and I actually ruled against the correct ruling, only because it's really confusing about how the wording is. So here's what happened. So this player had 2 alias on the board, and it was this player's turn, and he declares an attack with Gores. Now this player who had the alias had an Honest in hand, and so instead of activating the D-Prison right away onto the Gores, he let the attack declaration go through, and this player had a Treacherous Trap Hole set with no traps engraved, obviously, and he decides to activate Treacherous Trap Hole before the damage step began. So he decided to target 2 alias. So normally, yeah, you could be like, okay, cool, yeah, obviously there's nothing I could do here, so it creates a replay rule, right? Now the number of monster has changed because Treacherous Trap Hole destroyed the alias. Now the question is, on a replay rule for a direct attack, are you able to activate D-Prison? The answer is no, you cannot activate D-Prison because during the attack declaration window, the hero player decided to pass on that window and then wanted to try to go to damage step to activate Honest. But before the damage step, which is another window, they activate Treacherous Trap Hole to destroy the alias. Now then this creates a replay rule where if the number of monsters changed before the damage step, the player who controls the attacker is able to either redeclare the attack, cancel the attack, or select another monster as a target. But the way that the attack declaration window works is that you can only activate it on the first attack. So when during a replay, if it were to declare an attack again as a result of the replay, they would not be able to activate D-Prison in response because they already declared the attack before the replay. I know it's a really long-winded way of saying it, but the reason why I rule against this original ruling is that if you go to the replay rules for format.com, I read this exact same excerpt right here. It says that a replay occurs if the number of monsters your opponent changes. That's fair enough. And then it says right here, if a new attack target is selected. And so this condition here is talking about if you were to attack a different monster, right? Because the attack target is, well, a direct attack was talked about in the second, what is it called, a thumbnail here, or a thumb. And in this scenario over here, Mirror Force can't be activated because the attack was already declared, right? So in this exception to the rule, you can't activate Mirror Force, right, if you're selecting another monster. However, I read this one, and it didn't even say that at all. It didn't say that Mirror Force can't be activated. It just says that a direct attack may be selected, and it didn't give an exception to the rule. So having read this this lack of exception made me rule that you could activate D-Prison in response to the replay declaration. But I went back to do a little bit of digging. It's like, how is it that EDISON format is able to get all these information? Well, it turns out the original source is from the UDE website, and it's still up even after they've been disbanded. Let me see if I can find it. So right over here. Yes, so right here. So this is the UDE website that has all the basic rulings for a replay. So the replay in, if you look over here, February 2009 is when this article was basically written. And the reason why I use this as the original source and come to the conclusion that a replay is considered to already attack is if you read right here. The monster that was attacking when the replay occurred is still considered to have attacked the original target, even if you decide not to continue with the attack on that target when the replay happens. So it's just basically generalizing that it's considered to have already attacked, and so activating cards like Mirror Force or Magic Cylinder cannot be activated. So this kind of just solidifies that even on a direct attack, you're unable to basically activate Deprison on the second declaration of attack during your rerun. So yeah, that was the reason why I thought that was the way it should have been ruled. But this is after I did a little bit of digging. So yeah, just side note, or going forward, if you do have to happen to be in this situation, yeah, so Gores can't be deprisoned on a replay attack. Okay, on to the next one. This will be the last ruling for this segment, and so this is where we have Goyo Guardian face up on the field, and we have a Machina Fortress face up. So the question is, if Goyo Guardian were to declare an attack on Machina Fortress, would he be able to activate and resolve its effect? And the question is, the answer to that is yes. He would be able to activate and resolve its effect because he does not have to be face up on the field to resolve its effect. Actually, he does have to be face up on the field to resolve its effect. However, Machina Fortress reads, let's see if I can find it here. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, because this effect doesn't have a can and win effect, it doesn't miss timing, and also on top of that, it has to be chain link 1 if it gets destroyed in battle. Whereas Goyo Guardian, it has an optional effect where it says you can. Because of the optional ability of Goyo Guardian and having both cards trigger at the same time, this applies into the SEGOC rule, which is the simultaneous effect on chain, and that makes it so that Machina Fortress will be chainlink 1, Goyo Guardian will be chainlink 2. Even though you're the turn player, mandatory effects have to be chainlink 1 and optional effects have to be chainlink 2, and this way Goyo Guardian can resolve its effect, taking the Machina Fortress before it gets destroyed. And as always, thank you for watching. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concern, you guys can leave it in the comment section. Yeah, and then I try my best to do or answer my my viewers' questions, as well as address any of the controversial opinions that were, or not opinions, but basically my viewpoints on how I interpret the rulings on these segments. So thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the next EDISON ruling video. Thanks.